Hello everyone, welcome to Literary Paradise. Today's lecture is dedicated to Ode on a Grecian Urn, composed by a young and brilliant poet John Keats in May 1819. In this ode, Keats is addressing an ancient urn and describing various images of rustic life painted on it. These images represent different phases of human life and they leave our poet with questions and doubts about life and art. Friends, this technique to offer verbal description of a visual work of art is called ekphrasis. So friends, there are five stanzas in this poem wherein poet maintains the idea that truth and beauty are always pleasing and everlasting. It is one of the loveliest odes written in English literature. Friends, ode is a poem where the poet addresses to a person or a thing. And as the title of this poem suggests, our poet is addressing to an urn. Urn is a vase or a kind of pot with narrowed neck above a rounded body. I hope you will enjoy this poem, friends. So let's begin with the poem. Thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of silence and slow time, sylvan historian, who canst thou express a flowery tale more sweetly than our rhyme? What leaf-fringed legend hunts about thy sea, of deities or mortals, or of both, in Tempe or the dales of Arcady? What men or gods are these? What maidens loath? What mad pursuit? What struggle to escape? What pipes and timbrels? What wild ecstasy? So, friends, in this stanza, our poet is addressing to the urn with these three phrases. Okay, so mark these phrases. Number one, still unravished bride of quietness. It means our poet is equating the purity of this urn with the chastity of a beautiful bride who is still chaste, as her virginity has not yet been spoiled by physical proximity of any kind, and this bride has married to quietness, which means that the urn is associated with peace and meekness. Number two, foster child of silence and slow time. So here poet addresses Anne as a foster child of silence and slow time because he considers Anne as a meek observer of time who has spent thousands of years in a silent corner of a museum away from the hustles of human life. Portraying Anne as a product of slow time shows that the Anne is less affected by time. Number 3. Sylvan Historian. It simply suggests that the urn is like a historian who lives in a forest. Sylvan means forest. So, like a profound historian secludes himself from society but skillfully writes about human life and culture, similarly, this urn is away from the eyes of people but with the images painted on it, it conveys many profound ideas about human life. So, after addressing the urn with these adjectives, Keats admits that the urn can narrate tales better than the poets like him who glorify tales with meters and rhymes. Apparently, our poet is praising the narration by the urn as it is more comprehensible because of the beautiful pictures on it. Now our poet broods over some ambiguous images of gods or humans surrounded by leafy and floral images, possibly captured in some cities, valleys, or arcades. Arcade refers to a covered passage in a rustic area with trees on both sides. See, some beautiful images have been portrayed on this urn by the painter here, like some beautiful maids are being chased by some country lads. But these maidens are reluctant to the insane following by these village boys who are playing some instruments like pipes or flutes and timbrels. Now, quickly move on to the next stanza, friends. Heart melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Therefore, ye soft pipes play on, not to the sensual ear, but more endeared pipe to the spirit deities of no tone. Fair youth, beneath the trees thou canst not leave thy song, nor ever can those trees be bare. Boat lover, never, never canst thou kiss. Though winning near the goal yet, do not grieve, she cannot fade. Though thou hast not thy bliss, forever wilt thou love, and she be fair. So, friends, in simple words, poet prefers fantasy to physical or sensual pleasure. See the beginning line of this stanza. Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter, has been frequently quoted in many places. Looking at this line, we can say that it's a paradox to hear something that cannot be heard. But there is a serious message in these lines. Here, poet wants to say that the melodies received by our soul are greater than the sensual melodies received by our ears. And these images shown on the urn are powerful enough to move the soul of our poet. That's why he's appealing to the boy on the painting to continue with his flute so that this unheard music, which is devoid of ditties, means which is devoid of rhymes, pours down a spiritual ecstasy into his heart. So, friends, considering the importance and relevance of this poem, I have tried to offer you a detailed interpretation of it. To make it convenient, I am explaining this poem in two parts. Do watch the second part of this lecture, friends, and if you are new to our channel, do subscribe for further updates. Happy learning, friends, and thanks for being with us.